Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, we're going to let my 2025 top songs pick for how long I read every day. Hold up, wait. And I was definitely blindsided. I feel like I'm being gaslit. What the fuck just happened? I saw this idea on Sara channel. She actually also did this video last year with her 2024 top songs. And I just thought it was so interesting, like a fun way to decide how long I should read for the next 7 days. I will say I'll do this video for 7 days, but I don't know if I'm going to be filming 7 days consecutively just because I have to work both Saturday and Sunday. And today is Tuesday, so depending on how long like the song would be, I don't know if I will have time to read for that amount of hours, but we will see. But I'll still film 7 days. But I have my top songs on Spotify, and I've just made my own playlist and just called it 2025, so original, I know. And if you're curious, my top songs were Sports Car, Miss Possessive, Revolving Door, Purple Lace Bra, and Like I Do. Yes, all my 5 top songs were indeed Tate McRae. Do with that what you will. I think a part of the reason is definitely because I went and saw her in concert in, I think it was May. Yes, it was. It was actually May. It was the same day that I got the keys to my apartment. I saw Tate McRae in concert, so I've been listening to the album on repeat to like get all the lyrics in to scream them at the concert. I'm just going to explain how this works. So we're going to just like right now, I'm just going to choose a random song to just show you guys what I mean. I have it on shuffle right now, and if I press play, I got Purple Lace Bra. That song is 3 minutes and 11 seconds, which means I would convert that into hours. So I would read for 3 hours and 11 minutes. And that's just how this challenge is going to work. But before we start, I'm going to explain what the first book of the video is, which is The Bright Years, which I actually started yesterday. And I am currently 32% through this book because it's actually quite short. And I don't know why in my head I thought it was like over 400 pages, but it's actually less than 300 pages. It's only like 288. So depending on the amount of hours we get today, I could potentially finish it. Obviously, the hours are also just a minimum. So if I want to read more than what the challenge says, I'm allowed to do that. But to explain this book, this was on my 26 books for 2026, and in that video where I explain all those books, I say it's told from 3 different point of views and throughout multiple generations. So far in the 32%, I've only met one point of view, so I can only talk from that point of view. We're following our main character Lillian, and in her first chapter she meets this guy named Ryan, and that is her future husband. Like, they get married in this book, but she has a secret that he doesn't know about, which is that she actually has a son that she gave up for adoption before she ever met him. And she's kind of like struggling with that. Like, there's multiple times in this book and she's like, I wonder what my son is doing, and I wonder what he's doing on his birthday, and all these things. Like, she keeps thinking about this child that she had. It started in the 50s with our first like prologue chapter before we got into Lillian's point of view. And now I'm at the 90s. So it's going to stretch for decades, and her and Ryan met in, I believe, early 80s, potentially late 70s. I'm not entirely positive about that. Hi, I don't know why, but I literally never explained fully what the book was about, because then I think I got sidetracked and I started talking about the decades and what year they met, but I never actually said what the book fully was about, except that we follow Lillian. So I'm just quickly going to kind of explain it here. But basically the book is about these 3 different generations who all go through different things, and the story portrays love, grief, and addiction, as well as family issues and family dynamics. But we start out by following this woman, Lillian, and how she gets married and she gets pregnant, and motherhood, and how she deals with these things, while also still like having these thoughts in the back of her mind about the son that she gave up for adoption. and her husband Ryan starts struggling with alcohol addiction, and that really takes a big toll on her life and their romance and their family dynamic in general. And later on we see two other point of views of this family, and it was just a really interesting read, but I hope that made more sense about what it's about. It's kind of hard to explain it without giving spoilers away, but we are basically just following these people. It's very character driven. Like, there's no like further plot, if you can say that. It's just following these people go through very real things. But nonetheless, I'm really enjoying it. The writing is beautiful, and I've already highlighted multiple things, and the author just really has a way of words. Like, let me read one of the highlights so you can like understand what I'm saying about the writing. I hate him, but hate is anemic when love hangs around like turpentine in the upholstery. Surely something so good won't end like this. Ryan isn't the monster he thinks he is. The truth is that monsters are myths and men are complicated. Punch to the gut. Like, what? The writing is really like phenomenal in this book, and there's just so many sentences and stuff that are just written so differently compared to, like, I don't know, I'm a romance reader, so nothing against romance, but a lot of romances, especially in newer times, are just written kind of like to the point. It's like, she did this, la la la, you know what I mean? But this has like actually nuanced writing with sentences that just almost feels poetic in the way that it's written, you know? And I love writing like that. Like, that has truly been something that I explored in 2025, that writing just really matters. Like, I can love a book that has bad writing and I love the characters and I'm having a good, funny time, but the books that I rate 5 stars and the book that I think about and makes me cry and feel emotions are the books that has this kind of writing. Obsessed. So I have talked way too long now, but I'm going to continue reading this book, but obviously we need to figure out how long I'm reading for today. I have no plans today, which is awesome, except for a Pilates class later. Are we ready? Okay. I Can't Have You Around by Renee Rapp. This song is only 2 minutes and 44 seconds, which means we're going to be reading for 2 hours and 44 minutes today. Not too bad, not too shabby. That's definitely doable. And I'm excited to read this book, because actually yesterday it was like one of those times where you're like, oh my god, I just one more chapter before I go to bed, and then just one more chapter, because the chapters, a lot of them are short. But let's start reading. I'm so excited. Wait, that's so cute. Hold up. Wait. Oh man, I'm gonna cry. Oh. I am so taken aback. I did that. What the fuck just happened? We made it for day 1. I am going to continue reading though, because I'm almost done with the book and I just finished crying. I cannot tell you how many things I've highlighted reading this book, but I just made it to part 3. I'm 86% done with the book. There's only about like 40 pages left, so I'm definitely going to continue to read. And also 10 minutes ago I got an email saying that my Pilates class was canceled, so that's really unfortunate, but I think I'm gonna go work out anyways with one of my friends. That was just my little update. I'm absolutely loving this book. I don't know my rating just yet. I feel like it usually comes to me at the end, but I am really loving it and I love the writing. But we'll talk more about this tomorrow. Hello guys, we are back for day 2 of this challenge of seeing how long we're going to be reading. But before we figure out how long we're going to read for today, we need to talk about the bright years. Because I finished this book yesterday because I only had like a few chapters once the timer went off, so I just continued reading so that I could finish it. And I did, and I cried. And my rating of this book is 4.5 stars because I really enjoyed it, but I didn't get the 5-star feeling. I think it's because this book spans like 4 decades and it's not even 300 pages long. It goes very fast, and some scenes that I feel like were very monumental and big just were over in like literally 2 pages, and I was getting whiplash. Like, that's one of the clips that I filmed myself where I was like, wait, what's going on? Because it just happened so fast out of nowhere. And then it just like moved on really quickly as well from that scene. And so I feel like I couldn't even like cry or like express my emotions because I was just like not prepared for it, and it went so fast that like I couldn't connect to it and like get the right emotions out, if that makes sense. But I still really enjoyed the book, and I think it had beautiful writing. And I mean, I showed some of the quotes, or I read 1 or 2 quotes from this book because the writing is so powerful, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I highlighted so many more quotes since I last updated, because I think I was only like 32% through it or something when I started the challenge yesterday. But because of the fact that it was such like a short book, I ended up finishing it in those around 3 hours, I think. And it was just like so addicting, and I couldn't put it down. I really liked all 3 point of views actually. The 3rd point of view is very short. It's only like a couple of chapters. Well, more than a couple, but I think that point of view was only the last 40 or so pages of the book. So it's a very short point of view, but it still made sense for that point of view to be there, and it was very impactful. And I think the author did a great job of like portraying these things and kind of not like a cycle of life, but kind of just different generations. Like, it's a grandma, and then it's a daughter, and then it's a granddaughter, you know? Like, it has these 3 generations, and it shows things that they choose to do different, but also things that end up repeating itself. And I think it's a beautiful story about family and also grief and love, because there are also multiple quotes in this book about like, is love worth the pain that you are setting yourself up for, either by that person dying or you breaking up or getting an addiction or something like that, because that's also what this book is about. It portrays addiction as a huge part of this book, as well as the grief and love, and it was just beautifully done. I would like to read more of this author in the future because I really liked it. I do think maybe it could be just a few pages longer. 4 decades, like 40 years, is a lot in like a 280 page book. Enough about that. Now we're going to pick a song. Well, not pick it, I guess. Shuffle Play is going to pick it. So let's press play. Slim Pickings is 2 minutes and 32 seconds, which means we're going to be reading for 2 hours and 32 minutes. Obviously, before we start reading, I have to show you guys what we're going to be reading. And I'm actually really excited. I'm going to be reading 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I have had this book on my physical TBR for years at this point. I don't remember if I bought it in 2022 or 2023, but one of those years. So it's been on there for a while, and it's actually looking quite short. How long is it? It's like only a little over 300 pages, so very short. But I've been wanting to read it for so long, and then I kind of low-key forgot about it. And then yesterday I was looking at my physical TBR to be like, what could I read next? And I saw this and I was like, wait, I completely forgot this book existed. I had been wanting to read it for so long, and I even brought it on vacation with me, I think twice, and neither of the times I ended up reading it. So I was like, I want to read it like in the summer because it says in June, but we're in February and it's gonna be now. I actually don't know what this book is about. I think it's a second chance romance, and I think it is like a little bit like a deeper book, which is exactly what I want. I want to be like deeply connected to these characters. I'm not gonna read the summary because I kind of want to go in blind, but I'm gonna read just like this. It says in a bigger font here. It says 7 days to fall in love, 15 years to forget, and 7 days to get it all back again. Very like excited and nervous to read this book. Yeah, I guess let's just start the timer and let's start reading. the next day, which means we're on to day 3 of this challenge. And before we pick our next song and how long we're going to read today, we're going to talk about the book that I started yesterday, 7 Days in June. I only got to page 125. And like I said, I went into this blind and I was definitely blindsided. I had no idea what this book was about, except I knew it was a second chance romance. So I was very shocked when I started reading. Even on the first page, I was like, huh? Basically, we follow our 2 main characters. One of them is Eva. She is a single mother of a 12-year-old. And she lives in Brooklyn in New York City. She is a romance author, actually, and she is known for her interspecies romance story that has like 14 books out in that series between a vampire and a witch. Then we have our other main character, who is Shane, and he is also an author, just not romance, and he only has written 4 books. But our 2 main characters knew each other back in high school, where they spent 7 days madly in love. And now it's been 15 years since then, and all of a sudden Shane walks into a book event that she is a part of, and he did not know she was going to be there. And as soon as they lock eyes, it's like intense and stuff. There's this scene where she says to him, oh, by the way, like, stop writing about me. And he says, you first. So basically, like, the main character in both of their books are inspired by each other. So all his 4 books are written about this character named 8, and it's all like inspired by her and her childhood trauma and her stories. The main character in her romance, Sebastian, is also inspired by him, just as a vampire. And I think that's really interesting. I have read before 2 authors, but not like this. But my only issue with this book that I'm scared is going to make me like it a little bit less is I never really love when people fall in love in such a short amount of time. Like, what do you mean that like you were in love after spending 7 days together 15 years ago, and somehow you're both still like obsessed with each other 15 years later, and you're gonna fall in love in 7 days again? It's just a little bit unrealistic, but obviously it's a book and all that, so it's fine. But I do like the writing, and sometimes there are chapters that go back to 15 years ago where we see them like meet for the first time, and we hear some about like what they've been going through as kids. Like, he grew up in foster care, like always bouncing around different foster homes, and she lives with a single mom who is not the best mom at all, and she runs in with a lot of her mom's boyfriends, which is not a great situation. So there are definitely different aspects to this book than just the romance. It's also about like invisible disabilities, kind of. I don't know if disabilities is the right word, but our main character, Eva, she suffers from really intense migraines where she'll throw up, and she has to like take a shot in her thigh and takes all these kind of pills and stuff, and she gets them all the time her like whole life. So that's another part that she talks about, like how she always just has to act fine because people don't get that it's not just a headache, it's more than that. But I guess that's basically just like it for what I want to say about it right now. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time reading it. It took me some time to get through yesterday because I was trying to upload my reading vlog of finding my first 5-star read, and it took maybe 5 or 6 hours because it kept not wanting to do it. So that distracted me a lot from reading, which is why I think I read a little bit less pages from the 2.5 hours, but it's okay. I'm hoping that I get a short song today because I'm going to work at 1:30 until 7 p.m. and I also have to do homework for my class tomorrow. But I'm gonna bring my book with me to the gym, which I've never done before. I usually just read on the Kindle app on my phone, but I don't have this on my Kindle. I could just download it, but I think I'm gonna bring it with me. But I'm also like nervous because like I've never seen someone do that. Well, I've seen it on TikTok, and I know my friend has done it at her gym, but I've never seen someone at my gym do it. And I don't even know, like, what if I can't like walk on the treadmill while I hold the book? I'm really nervous about that, but I'm also like, who cares? Like, if I saw someone holding a book on the treadmill, I would not care. Like, I would think it was cool, but I wouldn't judge. So why would someone judge me? You know what I mean? Like, we're all our own biggest enemy because no one actually cares as much as you do. So we're gonna say YOLO, and we're gonna bring it on the treadmill with us. But nonetheless, we're going to press shuffle play and see how long I have to read for today. Please be like a short song. Oh, okay. I mean, obviously it's not long. It's just longer than the last 2 days, which is typical. But it is Because I Liked a Boy by Sabrina Carpenter, which is 3 minutes and 16 seconds. So that means we have to read for 3 hours and 16 minutes today. On the treadmill, that'll be like 30 minutes or so. And then maybe, I think I saw it on Spotify, so maybe I can listen to it while I walk on the Stairmaster, because I can't really hold a book. Some people maybe can, but the way like going up and down, like I can't read. I can't read while doing that. So maybe I can listen to the audiobook. Oh, like I don't even have 3 hours until I have to go to work. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I guess we better just go to the gym and start reading. Hey guys, it's been a little while. Last time I filmed was Thursday and today it is Monday. And if you couldn't hear it on my voice, it's because Thursday evening towards the end of my shift while I was at work, I started feeling just like a little inkling of like, oh, I might be getting sick. I did. So I spent the last 3 days literally right here on my couch watching TV. So I didn't go to class on Friday and I didn't go to work. I had work both Saturday and Sunday, but I didn't do that either. Today I did go to class though. Now I'm ready to like film again. I'm still not 100% like back. I'm still very stuffy and congested. Feeling a lot better than I have been. On Thursday I had 37 minutes left of reading to do when I got home because I got some reading done at work. As soon as I walked in my door, I just like got full body aches and I was like, oh, I feel sick. So I went on my couch and I didn't read. So those 37 minutes I actually read yesterday. And then I just finished the book because after the 37 minutes I had like, I think maybe 20 pages left of the book. So I just ended up finishing 7 Days in June. And I rate this book 3.5 stars. And I also wrote in my little review, small review on Goodreads, like I think the reason I also kind of didn't love this book is because I had different expectations going into it. I knew it was going to be a romance, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more like literary fiction with a romance, or more like more deep, where I would be maybe crying or feeling like emotionally invested in these characters. And so when I read the very first like even sentence in this book, I was like taken aback because that's not at all what I thought that was going to be. But I still enjoyed reading the book, and I think it had a really interesting aspect in the way that it had like multiple point of views. It's written in a third person point of view, and I thought we were only really going to differentiate between our two main characters in the romance, so Eva and Shane. We actually get a few other point of views, like we see a chapter from Eva's mom, we see Eva's daughter, and also a few chapters from like her publisher slash like best friend Cece. So there are multiple point of views in this book, which I find really interesting, and I also did like the way it was written. I think my problem was, like I also said in the beginning or something, that I don't really love romances where they're supposed to fall in love in such a short amount of time, because it feels very unrealistic. And I understand it's fiction and anything is possible, but it just takes me out of the story a little bit when I can't like connect to it. These characters, when they were in high school, they met and they spent like 1 week together basically, and they're like in love, and then 15 years go by, they have 0 contact at all, and then they fall in love again in a week. It just like feels very fiction, that's for sure. Like to fall in love and still be obsessed with that person 15 years later. I feel like it would have, for it to still be 7 Days in June, for me at least to connect with it more, I would have needed them to have like truly been in a relationship those 15 years ago, like been together for more than just that 1 week. It's fine that it's a week in the present tense, but the past tense needed to at least have been longer for me to feel like it made sense for them to be that obsessed with each other 15 years later. But I still, again, like, I enjoyed it. And I saw somewhere, I don't know if it's right, but I saw somewhere on that this month is Black History Month, and I don't know if that's true, but that feels perfect then reading this book, because there is also multiple conversations about race in this book, because both of our main characters are Black and they're Black authors. So we see these events that they're going to that are actually only for Black authors, and I didn't even know that like existed, but I think that's really cool. So I like that they talk about that and the problems in the industry, both with films and books, how it's harder to make like a normal story with Black characters than it is with white characters, which is not something I've ever like considered, but obviously it's because I'm a privileged white person. So I liked seeing that like aspect getting more, it opens your eyes more. And that's also what I love about books. You get to experience all these different lives that you would have never experienced otherwise, that you get to put yourself in this position that you would never otherwise be in. So yes, but those were my overall thoughts about 7 Days in June. I would still recommend it, and I still think it was a good book. It just wasn't exactly what I was looking for, and then the 7 days again threw me off. But before we see how long we're going to be reading for today, I'm going to introduce our next read, which is a fantasy, and it is This Woven Kingdom by Sara, which is the same author as the Shatter Me series, which I love. I've read it twice. I've heard really great things about this, and I've owned this book. I feel like I've owned this book for maybe 2 years or something at this point, and I just haven't gotten around to reading it. I think the book covers in this series are so pretty. Like, all of them are like this, like, well, I wouldn't say this is pastel, but it's these like bright colors. Like, there's one that's pink and one there's like turquoise, green, blue kind of, and I just think that they're so pretty. And the fourth one in the series came out in 2025, and I saw people on TikTok like really love that book. I've heard the MMC in this book is supposed to be amazing and like yearning, and people are obsessed with him, so I'm very excited. And this book is almost 500 pages. I don't remember the last time I read a fantasy. Yeah, I actually don't remember the last time I read a fantasy book. Not that it's been like that long, I don't think, but I'm very excited. I don't remember the last time I read like a fantasy series, because I read a few fantasies, but those were all like the first in a series or a standalone or something, because I've been scared to like dive into series. So very excited. And then we'll see if we'll be reading the second one in this video as well. It depends. So obviously we still have 4 more days of doing this. Very excited to start this book. All right, we are ready to press shuffle play. Okay, the song is It's Okay, I'm Okay by Tate McRae, and it is 2 minutes and 36 seconds, which means that I will be reading for 2 hours and 36 minutes today. So that's not too bad. I feel like we already had a Tate McRae song. Is that wrong? But I think I have the whole album on this playlist, so it makes sense. But we'll see how long I get into this book in the next 2.5 hours. So very excited to start this book. Good morning, friends. It is now the next day and day 5 of this challenge. Yesterday I read for the 2.5 hours and I got to page 173, which is chapter 15. So pretty far in. According to Goodreads, I am 33% through the book, so 1/3 of the way.
But let me just explain to you guys what this book was about, because I kind of went in blind. I didn't really know much about it. We have our two main characters. I'm not entirely sure about how to pronounce them, and I even listened to the audiobook a bit and I still don't really know, but I think our female main character is called Elise, and she is the long lost heir to a crown, and she's actually a queen, but she can't let anyone know that. She pretends to be like poor and lower class society and is actually like working as a maid or a help for a rich family. The maids and stuff, they have to cover up their faces, which is perfect for her. So she uses this thing they call like a snoda, and she wraps it around her head. Like even her eyes are covered. It's only really her mouth that's visible, and it's especially her eyes that are important because they change colors, and that's what would give her away. And then also her veins are like filled with ice, so for example she can't burn, like she's immune to fire, and she's always just really cold, because in this world there are like two types of creatures, beings if you can say. So there are the jinn, and then there are the humans, what they call clay. They call them both humans and clay because like they're made from the earth and mud and stuff, whereas the jinn is made from fire. And it kind of reminds me of Teen Wolf, because I'm pretty sure there's also like fire people there called jinn. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like there are. So that's kind of what I'm imagining a little bit. But she's the long lost heir to the jinn people, but she lives among the human who already have a king. It's not that she can't tell people she's jinn, because they've actually like started living amongst each other. Humans are still seen as better, but the jinn are not like being executed for that. She's only afraid to show who she is because of her heritage. And then we have our other main character, who is Cameron, and he is the prince of the human kingdom. So his grandfather is actually the king because his dad died, and he is looking to inherit this throne at some point. And his grandfather wants Elise dead because he thinks she's a threat to his throne and a symbol of rebellion that people can like gather around, and he doesn't want that. And he has like this prophecy that he heard when he became king about how there's this monster with veins of ice, and that's her. So very interesting. So far in the book, the two characters have met each other. It is a little bit like not insta love, but the prince Cameron is definitely infatuated with her like right away. He's like, she's so beautiful, like I don't want her to die. Like you don't know her, like you really don't know her, you just think she's pretty. So like if she hadn't been pretty, you would have been fine by killing her, but whatever, I guess. But so far I'm liking it. It is a little bit slow because I'm almost 200 pages in and like not really much has happened, and I definitely did not think they were gonna find out who she was that fast, but oh well. I'm excited to see the rest. I did like look on Goodreads, and I also said to my friend who's read this series that I was reading it, and she was like, you need to take it with a grain of salt because this one is the worst one in the series, which a lot of the times do happen in fantasies. But I also checked the Goodreads ratings, and like for each book the rating just gets higher, so I still want to give this series a chance even if I don't like love the first book, because people seem to really love the rest of the series. Let's see how long we're going to be reading for today. I do have to go to work, but I'll probably read on my lunch break. We are ready. Father Figure by Taylor Swift is 3 minutes and 32 seconds, which means we're going to be reading for 3 hours and 32 minutes, which I believe is the longest we've read so far, because I think the longest was day 3 for 3 hours and 16 minutes if I remember correctly. So that's definitely going to be a challenge, but we can make it work. Very excited, and I'll obviously keep you guys updated. But I feel like I'm being gaslit or like tricked into thinking something, but I think it's different. 3 hours and 17 minutes. guys. I never spoke this morning because I didn't really have anything to say except for just picking the song. So I just did that in silence. And the song was My Man on Willpower, I think, by Sabrina Carpenter, which is 3 minutes and 17 seconds. So that means I started the timer at 3 hours and 17 minutes. And I read for a little over an hour at home while I was waiting for one of the washing machines in the basement to be available for me to wash my clothes, because then I could put the clothes in and then go to the gym after. So I went to the gym and I brought my Kindle and just downloaded the book on there instead of bringing the physical copy, because I had like 3 chapters left. I didn't want to bring the whole book. This was all that was left of the book when I went to the gym. So I just brought the Kindle instead, and I finished the book while walking on the treadmill. So let's talk about like my rating. I rate this book 2.75 stars, which is some of the lowest I have rated a book in a really long time. I rarely rate a book less than 3 stars, but the reason I did that is because this book is almost 500 pages and I feel like it could have been maybe 350, something like that. Like literally I feel like 200 pages of this book overall were completely irrelevant. Like reading maybe 20 pages of talking about sewing a dress and whatnot, like that just felt like really slow and boring to me. So I did like overall like enjoy the book, and I'll talk about that, but I just felt like there was so much filler in this book that didn't really add to anything. Like again, I've read almost 500 pages and I can tell you some things that happen in this book, but it did not need to span 500 pages. The scenes were just like so painfully slow, just not a lot like happening to further the plot to where I was interested, except for the last 100 pages. So I feel like if there was like 200 and 250 pages where we got to meet the characters and whatnot, or even the book could still have been the same length, but you just needed to change what was in those pages then, because it wasn't interesting to me. But the last 100 pages got to me, and that was where I actually started the timer today, was the last 100 pages, and those were really interesting. I had a great time reading those. Actually could barely put it down. Like when I had to put it down to like get ready and like actually go to the gym, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get on the treadmill so that I can start reading again, because I want to know what happens now, because I only had 3 chapters left at that point. So I think the last 100 pages were interesting and like was setting up for a good story, and I was actually like invested into what was going to happen to the characters and whatnot, and I was like shocked multiple times, and I was like, oh my god, wait, like what? Like before the 100 pages I was already like kind of on the 2.75, so then I was like, now that the last 100 pages were good, should I change it to 3? But I still feel like that if you didn't need like 200 pages of this book, or at least needed those but should have changed into something else, because I do have opinions about certain aspects that I feel like to have made it more believable, or for me to be like, wow, like I understand why this character thinks that way or acts that way, I would have needed the 400 pages beforehand to have had some different scenes in it too, because I think I said that in my like when I was about like 30% through, how I felt like it was a little bit insta-lovey. And I still felt that way, because it was like, why are you having this many emotions about this when you don't know each other? Like you really don't know each other, and it is purely because you think that there's attraction. And that just bothered me, because what do you mean that you're feeling this much when you don't know anything about each other? Like that just bothered me. So again, could not rate it higher than 2.75, but I'm still excited to read the rest of the series, which is why I was actually going to read a different book. I don't think I had decided yet, but I was gonna read a different book after this one, just for like the sake of the video, to not be reading the same thing. And also, since I like didn't love it, I wanted a break. But then the book ended, I was like, wait, I have to know what happens next. So I downloaded the next book, which is These Infinite Threads. This is book 2, and I just read the first chapter because it was like a bit long. I think it said like 20 minutes on the Kindle. So I read that while I was walking on the Stairmaster, actually. I don't usually read on the Stairmaster, but because like the screen on the Kindle is pretty big, it worked out. And then I had my little click thing so you can change the pages without like touching the Kindle, which is really amazing. So I think this is going to be my next read. Like I plan to continue it, so I'm sorry if that's annoying for anyone, because obviously I can't even like explain or talk about this book. But the reason I also decided to pick it up anyways is because tomorrow is our last day of this video, so I most likely wouldn't be able to finish whatever book I picked anyways. So I will still try to share some reactions if I have any, and also just my thoughts and feelings on this book. I still have an hour and 26 minutes left on the timer to read for today, and then tomorrow we'll obviously be reading again for like 2 to 3 hours, so maybe I'll get halfway through the book, perhaps, I don't know. But anywho, I've talked enough now. I'm going to continue to read until I have to go to the zoo. Hey guys, we are back and ready for the very last day of this challenge. Yesterday I got to chapter 9, which is 28% through the book, and page 112, a decent amount into the book. As is with most fantasies, you can definitely tell like where book 1 ends on like a high and then the next book starts kind of slow again, but it seems that this book is a bit shorter. I think it's only around 400 pages instead of 500, so that's a plus. I am enjoying the storyline, and I think that I will like this one more than the first one, but I'm not like overwhelmed, blown backwards by how thrilling or exciting this book is. It has definitely like slowed down again, but it's fine as long as it picks up at some point again. But I do like following the two characters. I don't think I said when I talked about the first one, This Woven Kingdom, but the two main characters that we follow, it changes for every chapter, and then every chapter ends like on a cliffhanger or like some kind of crazy thing that happens that they say in like the last sentence, and then the next chapter obviously is the other person, so you keep being like on the edge of your seat, which is why I feel like even though that book was a bit boring, there was still like something that was happening at each chapter that you wanted to know, so you had to read another chapter to go back to that point of view you were in. Like every other chapter was like correlating, and then obviously at points they met in the middle when the two characters were together in the same room. So I do like that, and it's still the same now in the second one where it changes for every chapter, and I think that's very interesting because it just keeps you on your toes a little bit more because you're interested to know what happened. Now you need to wait at least one full chapter to get back to what you were reading about. But it's time to see how long we're going to be reading. We're ready to do this for the last time. Are we ready? Okay, Miss Possessive by Tate McRae. It's 2 minutes and 19 seconds, which means we will be reading for 2 hours and 19 minutes. So that's good on a day where I don't have a lot of time. We love that. Needed a short song. The universe knew that. So I guess let's just get to reading. I think I'll read for like an hour now. The rest will be tonight after work, but that's all good.
Hey guys, it's been a week since I finished this challenge and like filmed the last day of the video, and while I was editing I realized that I never ended up finishing the video because then I went to my parents' house. So let me just finish it up now as a little update on This Woven Kingdom, because obviously I started the second book and I didn't have time to finish it while the challenge and the video was going on. But I'm actually on the 4th book right now and I'm like 60% through that one. I think it definitely gets better for every book, and while I still think not a lot is going on and the plot is very, very dragged on, I'm obsessed with the characters. Honestly, as long as a series or a book has amazing characters that I love, then I don't really need the plot to be great. Because if the plot was amazing and I didn't like any of the characters, I would automatically dislike the book. So I'm having a great time laughing out loud because of these characters. So thoroughly enjoying it. But that was the update on that. other than that, I guess I don't have much to say for this ending. We got some great books read. We got some books that have been on my physical TBR for a long time finished off in this video. So The Bright Years, which I rated 4.5 stars. Then we read 7 Days in June, which I rated 3.5 stars. And then This Woman Kingdom, which I rated 2.75. And then I didn't finish the second one, but I rated that one 3.5. Overall, a great reading week. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!